Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is April 25th, 2021. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so before we get started, let's look at the Qs because that is tends to be what I tend to trade in, growth names. Again, there was your double bottom, uptrend, retest, broke out. Now it's kind of pulling back. On the pullback, the volume is actually a little bit higher than what I like it. The uptrend was on decreasing volume. So we will see what happens here. Is this a false breakout? Or just biding time to consolidate this recent gain, and then it's some kind of cup and handle or something like that, and it moves higher. We'll see. I do want to make mention, though, that this week is huge earnings week. I mean, look at all these companies, but Tesla, AMD, Microsoft, Alphabet, Visa, Facebook, Apple, Shopify, Amazon. I mean, and those are the big guys. I mean, there's still Caterpillar, McDonald's. I mean, huge companies that can move the market this week. So be very, very careful. Know your earnings dates, okay? I'm going to go through these names quickly. Get a pen, get a piece of paper, jot them down, then look at the charts yourself and decide if this is the right trade for you or not. These are just ideas. Again, it's just idea generation. All right, so let's go quickly. And first one is AY, Atlantic Sustainable. Nice looking chart. You know, big volume coming in right here. And now it's kind of breaking up above this downtrend line, earnings. But I do like when I see volume like this come in, that's a big deal. Net has been on fire, looking great. And it, it's got earnings coming up, but a lot of volume coming in. Still building kind of this right side of the base. So we'll see what happens, but that's one to keep an eye on. CrowdStrike, CRWD. So this one is, again, you're seeing a lot more volume come in on this right-hand side of this base. We'll see what happens. There's a little bit of supply here, so we'll see how it reacts there. CVAC, CVAC. This one is, just kind of, it's been biding time all the way since December, and now looks like it's starting to build on that right side of the base. I can probably do something like this, right? That looks about right. Earnings in the rearview mirror, which is really nice. Again, you may have to wait for a pullback. It's a little bit extended, but a pullback to the VWAP from the recent low right here. We could even go. Let's see what it looks like there. Yeah. So that's why I picked this, because it kind of handed off right there. So I think this is the new relevant VWAP. Anyway, so I think if it pulls back on low volume to 105, that could be a place for entry. Next up, UPWK, Upwork. Again, moved up and really hasn't done anything wrong and is now trying to get above this area right here. I think that's significant right there. So if it gets above 50, 51-ish, I like this one a lot. It's just kind of like basing below that area. Earnings coming up. TXG, 10X Genomics, a little bit looser of a chart, has loose inverse head and shoulders look to it. Obviously it's a clear, if it gets above, we'll probably say 200 at this point, right? Because there's a psychological level there. Earnings coming up fairly soon, so just be careful with this one. But yeah, I would say, I'd probably even go higher like that. Yeah, 200 I think is the level to watch. Next up is Halo, H-A-L-O, Halozyme Therapeutics. Some good volume coming in here, right back against this level. You can see it has been rejected multiple times here in the past, right? So now we're here again. It is extended from its 23-day EMA, so that is something to watch also. A low volume pullback here, and then you get earnings. So Halozyme. Newmont Mining, NEM. This one, earnings this week it looks like, but it broke the downtrend line, kind of broke out. Now it's consolidating close to earnings. So, but what it does on earnings may offer an entry. SBSW, that's Stillwater. Yeah, I mean, just kind of moving sideways, right? It's just consolidating its gains and not doing anything wrong at this point. A little bit choppy, a little bit loose. I think it's a South African company. So, you're seeing this big gaps and all that kind of stuff. So just be aware of that. But yeah, if we get above $20.50, looks pretty good. Next up is VALE. It's one that I have not been involved in yet because earnings are, I believe, Monday. Yep, tomorrow. So I want to see what happens there. If we get a quick shakeout, I may, that would be my entry point, right? If I get 1880-ish, 1875, that would be amazing. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen. It may just gap up and keep going too. But that's what I'm looking for. It's just still a little bit too extended, but I like this name a lot. Yeah, it's still 5.5% above the 23-day and earnings there. So I want to keep on the list. PAAS, PAAS, Pan American Silver. Again, looking at a bigger chart, you see that since last year, it's been moving basically sideways, right, in this kind of range. So this one is hopefully making the right side of a base here, and got earnings coming up, and if it gets above 39.25, I think this one could go much higher. That's Pan American Silver. Next up is TX, Ternium. I think they're an iron company, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so look at this one long term. I mentioned this one before. I mean, huge area here. It's been rejected, in this area multiple times in the past, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's a 6th time since 2008, or even 7, that we're testing this area. It's been on an amazing run. So going back to a daily chart, you can see that it's just kind of having all this volume come in, earnings on the 27th. So be aware of that. It's Tuesday, but this one is just looking really, really good. But it's earnings, so be careful. Next up is FUTU, Shift for Payments. I mean, this one has just been stair-stepping higher since its IPO, right? And now we're back over here. It has this cup and handle look to it, right? Nice shallow pullback. Volume is looking good. Everything looks great. If it gets above that psychological $100 level, that could be a place to manage risk against. Earnings on the 6th. VCEL. Not doing anything wrong. Good volume coming in. Basically moving sideways, right? Hasn't done anything since this volume came in. Overall, a little bit of a distribution day here to be aware of, but that's going to happen. Lots of accumulation overall in the chart, and we have a May 5th earnings date. Next up is going to be on semiconductors, ON. Again, nice accumulation throughout this base. You're going to see every once in a while a distribution bar or two. That's going to happen. But right now it is trying to break back out. I was worried this was a false breakout right here, and it came right back down, had this distribution day, and then the next day, even though it was lower volume, it reversed, and it kept going. And it was it may have been an outside day. 39.38, 39.37. So yeah, it looks like it was an outside day officially by a penny. And it reversed higher. I mean, still, you see this could also be distribution in here. So I still think it needs to break out. And you have May 3rd earnings, so it's kind of close. FLL, Full House Resorts. Again, battling this area of $9-ish. It's a lower price stock, so just be aware of that. I usually don't buy too many things under $10. $15 really is my preferred amount. but volume is drying up here, and it looks like there's been some real good accumulation in this name during the space. So that's one to be aware of. Floor & Decor, the housing market is on fire, and if you're not moving, you're fixing up your house, and Floor & Decor is right in the middle of all of that. So it did break out on gigantic volume. It came back, it retested it quick. That would have been a great entry right there. And really, it's just been moving sideways. Again, that $100 level has been important, so it's always on my radar. But again, it's been right here. It's found sellers multiple times now. So if we can move above that, or if it can move above that, that'd be great. May 6th is the expected earnings date. Next up is Well-Built. This one was on my watch list. I've mentioned it here a few times. Never gave me an entry, right? This was my area. Area that made sense to me. And I mean, I'm not sure what the news was, but it gapped up like crazy, right? 44%. Never gave me an entry. But now it's starting to consolidate these gains, chill out, give it some time. Let it go sideways, pull back. It may even come down to this, $19-ish level, somewhere around there, who knows? And I would love for the 23-day to start to catch up to it. And if it can, that will give us a beautiful entry. So this move, impossible for my style to catch. Never showed an entry for me. But now it's on the watch list. Now we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Could take a month, who knows? Again, that's a big gain to consolidate. So we'll see. But amazing. ARNC, Arconic Corporation. So this one, again, important area. If you look at it, it's, what are we talking about? 3150. 3150 looks good. You see some nice volume coming in. A couple distribution days in there, but overall good accumulation volume. And I like this one. You want to play this range. I think that we get to the top of this range, makes sense, or wait for the breakout and for the bigger move. However you guys want to do it. May 24th, so we have decent time until earnings. CEQP, which is Crestwood Equity Partners. Another one that's kind of buying time, but great accumulation showing up. Earnings really soon on the 27th. That's CEQP. Next up is XM. This is another one that reminds me of Well-Built. Never really showed an entry for me. It wasn't even on my radar, but right there, gigantic 22% increase, and now we're starting the consolidation. So this one is, not ready today, but definitely watching it, because I think that again, if it does this nice low volume kind of pull back into the 23-day, that could be a potential entry. So DOCU is making it back on my list, which is interesting. I kind of like the way this is shaping up. It's still in a range, but I think that there's enough of a movement to the upside, and so close to 23-day EMA, which is in an uptrend, that this could be one that could potentially move higher. Again, you may play the range, or maybe this is the time it breaks out. When you look at it, I mean, it just is consolidating this big move. Why wouldn't this get up here and break out eventually? I think there's a good chance it does. Hasn't broken down, so I think that's a positive. Next up is QFIN. And QFIN, just again, nice uptrend, biding time, moving sideways. On a risk reward basis, I like it against the 23-day. And again, it can move up to that 31 or so, and potentially break out. Volume has been tailing off a little bit as it's been consolidating, so we'd love to see volume come in a little bit more. PGNY, Progeny, big uptrend. Now it's trying to break out. Don't love this type of action right here, and earnings are coming up, so it's not my favorite looking chart, but only price pays. So we'll be watching this one. Not going to take a position anytime, this week, because I want to see what happens with this prior supply in this area. All right. Next up is SPT, Sprout Social. I remember this one back before its gigantic run. It did extremely well. Unfortunately, I never got involved with it. Well, now it's kind of setting up again, and I do like it here. And you could probably do something like that, right? It does have earnings on May 4th, but I like how it kind of came back. It's making a base, looking pretty good. Last one is FUTU. This one's been a little messy, but maybe it is making that inverse head and shoulders now. So definitely watch it. Got a little time for till earnings, right? The 21st. But again, it's underneath the 23-day. It has to prove itself. But next week, if it does start to make this right side or right shoulder, or whatever you want to call this, watch this name, because that would be a beautiful looking setup. All right, let's do some jet fuel scans. First one is PAR. These are potential short squeeze candidates. This is a new one for me. Looks really, really good. We'll love to see it continue higher. This one could be a big mover. Like that one. PLCE place, Children's Place. Again, making this double bottom look. It now needs to get above, this $81 area. But that's a nice looking setup. Lovesac, LOVE, has been on my list for a long time. One I'm still involved with. Again, it's doing everything right, and we'll see. 23 days starting to catch up again, which is what we want to see as it consolidates all this supply right there. Next up is going to be PubMatic. This one I was in, shook me out here, and then boom, reverse right away. Kind of lower volume on the reversal, but that's one that and the chart is kind of loose. Your IPO kind of loose. If they do a secondary, I think that could be really dangerous. So just something to be aware of. Again, I got shaken out. Next up is KIRK, K-I-R-K, or Kirkland's. Had a nice little move up, moving sideways now. I think that, if it gets above 31-ish, 31.50, that would in closes. That would be a nice place to enter. Turtle Beach here, HEAR. This one has shown some nice volume as it's making this right side of whatever base this is. We do have earnings coming up on the 5th, but that's Turtle Beach. And then last one is Arch Resources. It already had earnings. It was down about 2.6%, but this is just a gigantic base. And if it can rebound next week, this can have some real nice potential to it. I mean, that's just a beautiful looking base right there. So keep this one on your radar too. I wouldn't even mind entering it now because the risk reward is so good. That's what I may be considering. Anyway, keep these positions small for the jet fuel scan or the short squeeze scan type names, because they are going to be more volatile and they do have the potential to move against you in a big way as well as move for you in a big way. All right, so recapping everything, the Qs are near all-time highs, but there's definitely some concerns in the market still. Earnings this week is huge, and I think that is going to be a driver of the market, especially this week, and we'll make a decision, right? Is this market going to roll over, or is it going to continue higher? So there's a bunch of names for the watch list. Hopefully it helped you. Take care. Y'all have a great week. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you like this type of video. I really do appreciate it. I'm on Twitter at AlphaCharts365 also. I post ideas all the time as well as my scans. And let me know which names you guys like the best. I appreciate that. Y'all have a great day.